let's get started. We have about 77 people online. That's awesome. We were trying to get close to 100, so I would say that's pretty good. So yeah, first of all, welcome to the first Turner International Women's Forum, where we will be hearing from some experiences of women in hard hats. And like I said, so happy to see so many people online. We have people from, I think, all of our countries represented right now. We have people calling in from the US, Mexico, Turkey, India, Thailand, Vietnam, Malaysia, and even the UK. And we are spanning so many time zones. So as I just mentioned, for Purva, thank you so much. It's 5 a.m. And over here in Malaysia, we're 8 p.m. So I think we're the bookends, but it is Wednesday, the 15th for everyone right now. So we managed that. So just a little bit of history really quick before we get started. This event was a few years in the making, actually. We started a Turner women's group here in Malaysia about 5 years ago. And we meet approximately quarterly, just to support each other, share experiences. Sometimes we, text each other inspiring articles and things like that. And that idea actually came from the time when I worked at the Turner New Jersey office. About 10 years ago, in the New Jersey office, there was a group that was started for that whole region called WEST, Women Enhancing Success at Turner. And so, yeah, kind of when I came to Malaysia, I talked to some other staff and I was like, let's do this. So we've had that group for a while, but then when the pandemic hit, we had not been able to meet in person for a long time. So earlier this year in March, it was Women's History Month and International Women's Day. So we wanted to try to schedule an event just within Malaysia. But because of the pandemic, we said, okay, let's do virtual. And then of course, Nadia, our amazing marketing coordinator, said, well, if we're going virtual, let's just scale it up and invite all of Turner International. So we got in touch with a few women from each of the Turner International offices, approximately 2 to 3 women from each country. So a total of about 20 of us. And we've been sharing emails, calls. We've been getting on virtual calls with each other for about 6 months now to plan this event. And there's been 3 people that have been really integral to the planning of it. That's Elida in Turkey, Arti in India, and Nadia here in Malaysia. And so the process of organizing this event was really organic and grassroots, actually. No one told us to go out and plan a women's forum, but after we started chatting, we wanted to compare experiences across the different countries and share with anyone who wanted to listen. So thank you for listening today. We discussed a variety of topics and questions and ultimately arrived at women in hard hats. So, trying to tackle all of the issues that women in construction face across 7 different countries is way too much to bite off. So we decided to start with an image that you do not always see every day, a woman in a hard hat. I think at Turner, we do see a lot of women in hard hats compared to the industry average, which we'll talk about in a moment, but we are still the minority in most cases. So why does this image matter? Why does the image of a woman in a hard hat matter? I guess I would ask you to try to remember when you were a child, or if you have kids now, and think about their toys. Think about the cartoons they watch, things in your everyday life from commercials on TV to advertisements. And the people in hard hats are almost always men. Even construction and engineering toys are usually marketed toward boys. That's not always true. I think it's changing, but majority of it usually is. And so we're all kind of subconsciously told from a young age that construction is not a space for women. So part of the event today and all Turner women's events is just to normalize a woman in a hard hat, to allow space to share experiences so women feel supported and not so alienated in their work environment on a construction site. And so while planning this event, we also talked a lot about the format. Do we need experts? Who will be the panelists? Should it be interactive or more like a presentation? And in the end, we decided on a conversation. So we hope today can feel like a conversation among friends, and you all get to kind of be the fly on the wall, as they say. We do have 8 focused questions to keep us on topic. And before each question, we'll be polling the audience, so it can be interactive. And then that way the panelists and myself, we can react to the audience responses. And so on that note, let's introduce the panelists. Artie, you can go to the next slide. So I'll let them each introduce themselves, but I will just quickly mention their names. So we have Merve, who's a site architect in Turkey, Deepali, a design manager in India, Aili, design coordinator in Malaysia, and Purva, who's an engineer for Turner in the US right now, but has also worked for Turner India. And then myself, I'll be moderating, and I'm Jenessa Frey, and I'll just introduce myself first, and then I'll pass it on to the other women. I started in the construction industry in 2002, about 19 years ago. Before Turner, I worked for various architecture, design build, and urban planning firms in Minnesota, Wisconsin, and New York. And now I've been with Turner for 10 years. I started in the New Jersey business unit in 2011. Then I worked in the Portland, Oregon business unit. And now I've been with Malaysia team for 5.5 years. And I'm actually transferring to Des Moines, Iowa with Turner next month. So I'm on to my next adventure next month. Just a little bit about me. I have 2 master's degrees from New Jersey Institute of Technology. One's in architecture and one in civil engineering. And before that, I got my undergraduate degree at University of Minnesota. I'm currently a project manager for the Merdeka Residences, which is comprised of 3 residential hotel towers situated around the large 118 tower, right, the iconic project. But I'm managing the 3 towers around that, which are 48 stories, 65 and 62 stories, so quite tall. And when I'm not working, I'm chasing my 2-year-old twin sons around. Yeah, I have 2 new sons. I love to cook, play tennis, travel, pre-COVID days. And I guess my fun fact, we tried to put a fun fact down there, something that might surprise you. I love futuristic, dystopian science fiction movies. So, all right. So now you know about me, I'm a little bit of a nerd too. So I'll pass it on to Merve next. If you don't mind, Merve, introduce yourself.
Yes, hi, I'm Merve. As you see, I am with Turner last 1.5 years. And I have I'm a double major when I was in university, which is architecture and interior design. And then I finished a 2-year program, it's called landscape architecture also. So before joining here, I was working in some American embassy projects around the world. And right now I'm in the Istanbul Finance Center. It's a very big 3.5 million square meters areas it has. And I have a passion outside of work, which is a motorcycle. It's an enduro bike, which has 800 cc's. It's a big enduro bike. And its name is coming from a movie character. It's from Transformers, Bumblebee. And so I love to ride my bike in the woods of north of Istanbul. So my plan after COVID-19 restrictions end is to go to Hamburg or to Europe. So it's me. Hi, everyone. I'm proud to be here.
Awesome. Next, thank you so much, Merve. And Deepali, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah. Hi, Jenessa. I'm very glad to know more about you. Well, as Jenessa mentioned, I'm an architect. I've been working with Turner for the past 2.5 years. I've been working on a residential project here near Mumbai. Before Turner, I have an industry experience of around 14 years, and I have always been worked with the clients, developers in and around Mumbai. And I have a great experience of working on high-rise residential towers. And I have a master's degree in construction project management from Mumbai. About me, currently I am a full-time mother to a 11-month-old. He just turned 11-month-old today. And I love traveling, I love reading. I can't just wait for this COVID restrictions to go away and start traveling with my little one. That's about me. I'm really glad to be a part of this forum. Thank you, Jenessa, Aarti, the entire team. You've done a great job of organizing this.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deepali. Great. So next, Aili, can you introduce yourself?
Okay, hi, hello, Assalamualaikum to all the Muslims. Good evening and also good morning to those who are in the different zone of the world. I am Aili from Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. Probably the youngest panelist for today, right, Jenessa?
That's okay. We want your perspective too.
Okay, so Turner is the first company I work for since I graduated my bachelor degree in civil engineering back in 2015. Joined as graduate engineer, and I have been with Turner for nearly 6 years now. I had completed 2 impressive projects, which are Four Seasons Kuala Lumpur and Cal East Mall. And I am currently with my third project, which is the iconic 118. Anyway, for your information, once completed, 118 will be the second tallest skyscraper in the world after Burj Khalifa. So once 118 project is completed, do visit Malaysia, but of course, after the COVID pandemic ends. So I guess that's all about me.
Awesome. Thank you, Aili. And last but not least, Purva.
Yeah. Hi, good morning. My name is Purva Nimbalkar. I am an engineer with Turner's Northern California business unit, or at the San Francisco business unit. I started my journey in Turner International in New York, and then moved to Mumbai to work there for about 3 years. I never thought I would say this, but I've actually spent more time in Turner USA than Turner International by this point. It's been a great experience. Turner International was all about business development, and Turner USA has been about field experiences, which is really exciting. Kind of started my journey in reverse, in the BD team, selling first before knowing what we were building. But as I said, it's been fun working through 3 different business units of Turner, and really seeing how different but same we are at the same time. I am a civil engineer by education, and then I've done my master's in construction management from Columbia University in New York, where actually I was hired out of Turner, hired to Turner rather. Fun fact about me, I love traveling, and I've visited about 24 countries. Still competing with Abrar on that. I know he's probably done like over 70. I always ask him when I see him. But yeah, really excited to be here, and thanks for including me to be part of the panel.
So awesome. Thank you, Purva. Okay, take us to the next slide, RT. Okay, so just really quickly, rules of engagement. Again, this is a conversation. We are not experts. We are here to share experiences and insights in hopes that it might help someone else or help them feel a sense of belonging. There are no right answers nor wrong answers. This is just a chance to share your experiences and discover if other colleagues have a similar experience. So to join the conversation, you can answer poll questions. Each question to the panelists will be paired with a Zoom or a Menti poll, so the audience can also share feedback and experiences throughout the forum. Everyone is invited to listen today, both male and female colleagues. To be honest, many of the poll questions are geared toward feedback from female colleagues though. So men, if you want to skip some of the questions because it's clearly geared toward the women, that's totally fine. But pay attention because there is a question in there for the guys also. And of course, none of this today is to diminish any of our male colleagues nor any other types of diversity. All types of diversity matter, and full support of all colleagues is key to a shift toward a more positive and fulfilling work culture. Today, we do happen to focus on the conversation on women in construction though, because the reality is that in general, women still only make up about 10% of the construction industry. That's in the USA. So if you can take us to the next slide, RT. So this was an article by JLL that we read. I'm sorry we don't have stats for worldwide. These are American stats only, but maybe it gives you kind of a perception of where it's at. So you can see the chart on the left that women only make up 10.3% of the construction industry. And this article is from 2019, by the way. So it is a few years old. But you can see other similar industries like transportation and utilities, manufacturing, and all these other industries, it goes up 24% women, 29, 41, but construction is still only 10%. But that is changing. If you see the graphs on the right side, these are all from the same JLL article. From 2017 to 2019, the rate at which women were joining the construction industry was faster than the rate at which men were joining the construction industry. So women in construction is actually growing faster than new men joining construction. So that's an interesting fact. And then the line graph on the bottom right of your screen, you can see that spike from 2017 to 2019, how it really started going up. So those are a few stats, and then take us to the next screen. So this question was asked before. So how does Turner stand against that? We worked with the HR team, especially Michelle Tseng helped us get these stats, and actually Turner's doing quite well compared to the industry norm. So you see the first column there is Turner USA. And so the top, how can I explain it? The top rows across the top are all job functions. So all Turner staff, whereas the lower rows are in a site role only. So in Turner USA, all job functions are 32% female and site role are 24% female. So that's still well above the 10% industry standard. And then you see the second column there, I guess it's technically the third column, Turner International, the overall summary, all job functions were 19% female and site role were 15% female. And then you can see the breakdown by country. Some countries are doing better than others. I'm not going to touch that stat too much. I think there's some cultural differences that are at play, but we can see that Mexico and Thailand, I mean, it's practically 50% women. So nice job there. I know Thailand is a small office, but still well done. All right, go to the next one. Okay, so now we get started with the interactive part. So a Zoom poll is going to pop up on your screen. And we are asking you, on average, how many other women do you work with on a daily basis? So this can include Turner, contractors, clients, consultants, basically just any normal day when you go to a meeting, how many other women are you working with? And you have 0 to 1, 1 to 5, or 5 plus. We'll go a little bit longer. So already on a lot of these polls, maybe when we get to like 75 or 80% participation, we'll close it because there might be people that are intentionally not voting.
I've shared the results, yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so I think you can all see the results on your screen. I can see them on mine. So about 50% of the people said 1 to 5 women, 36% said 5 plus, and only 15% said 1 or less. So I guess that's positive. There's not that many people that, work with very few women. It's good to see that the numbers are a little higher. Cool, so let's keep those stats in mind and go to our panelist question. All right, so Deepali, you're up first. So on that note, speaking of how many women we work with on a daily basis, I think you've been in the industry about 14 years. So in your career, have you seen a shift in the number of women in the construction industry? And do you think it changed things?
Not really. There has been an increase, but it's not a considerable increase. It's clear from your statistics how India has fared on the table. Frankly speaking, if I had to vote on the poll, I would have voted 0 to 1 because I've worked with women, but they are on different teams. So suppose if it is a one project, I have always been a single woman working on a particular project. So I've never got an opportunity to work with other women. Hardly, maybe I can say 2% to 5% of the time I have worked with other women. And, but ironically, the number of women architects, sorry, the girls architects in the college by studying architecture are more than the number of men architects. But I don't know what happens after graduation. Maybe family priorities take up, or
Yeah.
schedules, hectic schedules that we have on construction site. But many women opt out, and of course they do something, but they, I don't know, opt out of the construction industry and go do something else completely. But in the previous few years, yes, like you mentioned, there has been a little rise, but that's totally in the, not on hands-on construction experience, but of course, maybe pre-construction or back office works, there are women. So we can say that the scenes are changing, and hope many other women do join in the construction sites.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're onto something though, that women tend to, in the math and science careers, they tend to study architecture. I mean, I think a lot of us on the line here have, well, not everyone, but some people have architecture background. Yeah, and then I don't know what happens, family, different things, they opt out, they take their career in a different direction. Yeah, maybe the hectic site hours, not sure.
I myself have so many friends who are architects and who are doing completely different things other than architecture, and they're doing great. They're doing a fabulous job at that. So
yeah,
that's great for them.
Hours. How about you, Merve? What do you think in your career? Have you seen a shift? Have you seen more women in construction?
Yes, what I have seen is it is increasing. For example, right now, the number of women in the higher levels, such as managers or project managers, are very low. It is mostly because women who went to universities in the 90s they didn't choose to work on a construction site because it was a very male-dominated area back then. But now I think it is changing. It's since the companies have become a lot more aware of safety, diversity, and harassment issues at the workplace, a better and much safer environment has been created to work. So beside this, we have more universities than before, as Deepali said. Also, we have more female students who choose this kind of fields. So there are more women than ever before. And engineers, architects, or even in the number of interns are increasing steadily every day. And according to these signs, there will be more women than before in these high levels in the next 5 or 10 years, I believe.
Yeah, I totally agree. In my early days in the industry in the early 2000s, this was before I worked at Turner, but I had projects where I didn't see another woman like for a whole week. I had one project again before Turner. It was a men's medium security correctional facility or prison expansion and remodel. So every single day I went into actual prison, and the people I saw all day long were male inmates, male guards, and male construction workers. So when I think of that compared to my experience now working at Turner, I work with more women than ever before. Yeah, the dynamic's totally different. And I think you're spot on. Kind of before, it was not, women didn't really go into this career. And so therefore we kind of, there's not really any women at the higher levels right now, but it's coming. Yeah.
Yes, it will be.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Cool. Okay, next question to the audience. All right, so this one's another Zoom poll. So I guess this one's kind of for the women. So men, you don't need to answer if you don't want to. Do you feel supported by your female colleagues, or does it create an air of competition? And it's a multiple choice. And you can imagine why we're asking this. There kind of used to be a stigma where women were only competing with each other. We've got about 66% of people have voted. Maybe we can close it soon. Artie, up to you. Cool. Okay, I think great. Yeah, I think it ended. You all see it on your screen. So it looks like, okay, that's really good. The highest percent, 54% said supported. So that's really good. We're doing something right with the culture. But 45% said both. So there's definitely still, some people are feeling the competition. So let's see what the panelists have to say. So Miss Aili, I'll go to you first. On this topic, can you share a time when another female supported or inspired you in the workplace?
Okay, so I agree with the poll results, which is supported, based on my own experience as well. As you know, Jenessa, since my previous and current project that I'm working on, it has always been supportive because I am still working with lady bosses. Even my previous project also I'm working with lady boss. And they both had inspired me so much. We normally heard that working with female bosses will be tough. Some said that women bosses are bossy, emotional with their mood swing, things like that. But truth be told, that doesn't happen to me. To me, it was such an amazing journey for my career because working with female bosses is a plus as we tend to easily understand each other. I still remember during my early years, there are times when I had the struggle to handle a tough contractor or fussy tenant. There were situations when contractors are being pretty emotional, like suddenly raising their voice during meetings, and sometimes more like leaving the meeting with a hanging situation. So my boss, she was always there to assist during tough situations. And that had taught me a very important skill, which is tackling a hard situation. Yeah, so aside to that, I usually felt supported by female colleagues compared to the males. I think, of course, because they are more sensitive. They care more, like even they would notice when you are down, even though sometimes they might be related to the personal stuffs. So I guess women just being women. So that's just from my point of view and experience. I hope that my other colleague also felt supported by me regardless of gender.
Oh, that's great. Thank you, Aili. So Purva, similar question, but maybe flip it around a little bit. So we were asking Aili when she felt inspired, but did you conversely ever have a challenging situation, a difficult one, where an ally had to step in and support you, male or female? Maybe we could talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Having worked through these different business units, I've definitely been supported by my female and male colleagues both. Every time I've stepped in and asked for help, I've always gotten it. But one incident really comes to mind. When I moved to the Bay Area, I was still in a business development role, and I wanted to explore more field options. So my ICAP partner at that point of time had suggested me to shadow superintendents and PXs and engineers just to understand the different roles in Turner International versus Turner Construction. So I was on a job site shadowing one of our awesome female superintendents. I was doing rounds of the project site with her, and she had, I don't know, maybe like 15 different subcontractors to manage. So she was talking to all of them, and we were on our route. I think it was one of our trade partners, maybe a labor foreman. I don't know, maybe he gauged that I was newer to the project or whatever, but he was, he approached and, he just started sort of, I don't know, flirting and just said some really inappropriate things. The female superintendent that I was shadowing wasn't nearby. So I felt really awkward, and my first instinct was, am I wearing something not construction-y enough? Like, how did this person pick this up? And so I the blame was immediately put on myself, and I was like, I'm doing something wrong. And so I just walked away from the situation, and still feeling really awkward about it. We continued our round, and it happened again. Maybe because I didn't stop it fully the first time, and this person again approached and said, "Can you give me your number? Can we meet for drinks?" And this time I was really awkward, so I just politely refused. And I went to the superintendent and said, "Belen, this happened. I feel really awkward. I don't want to do anything about it," which is so strange. But I said, "I don't want to do anything, but I just want to talk to you, so I feel better about it." And she heard me out, and she said, "Why don't we go talk to him? Because, it's not just about one person. It's about us, together as a team, and it's about the culture that we create." So she took me to him, and, she said, "Sir, this is your first day on the job site, and what you said to her made her feel really unwelcome. And that's not the culture that we want to set on this project. We want, everyone to visit us and everyone to feel part of the team. So I don't think your actions are justified." And and this person I was flipping out. I was like, I don't know how he's going to react. But he looked at me and he said, "I'm sorry if I made you feel uncomfortable. I shouldn't have done that." And I mean, like, just the very fact that Belen stepped in and, she addressed the situation head on, and it made me feel much better. It made me feel inspired. It made me feel like I wasn't alone, and I shouldn't have really blamed myself. So she did all of that in, just that one incident. So yeah, it was really inspiring for me.
That is such a cool story. That is really cool. And like, when we are new to the industry or a junior person, like you mentioned, it was like your first day on the site. For someone more senior to step up and do that too, yeah, it just sets a precedent. Like, this is how it's going to be. Yeah, so I think both of you kind of mentioned where a female stepped in, but I just want to make a note that, like, our male allies are so important too. I mean, most of us probably, right, most of our bosses have been men, not women, because there's obviously less women in the industry. And I always think back to this one time. It was my first job with Turner, and one of the subcontractors didn't like what I had asked him to do. It was something with a pay application, right? I wanted him to submit something or whatever to prove his pay application. And he basically didn't like it and went and complained to my boss. And basically my boss, I heard this story recounted back to me from the subcontractor. Apparently my boss said to the subcontractor, like, "No, like, Jenessa is, honest and fair. So if she told you to do that, that's what you need to do." And, like, I didn't hear the story from my boss. I heard it from the subcontractor. So that's really important. Those little small things that, like, I guess that's what we mean when we say a male ally, right? He didn't even question if what I was saying was right or wrong. He just knew. He's like, "No, she's fair and she's honest. So if she told you to do it, do it." And those little things is like, it goes so far, right? Yeah. So all you men out there, like, we still need your support. So thank you. All right. Should we go to our next question? Okay, Zoom poll to the audience. What is the biggest challenge you have faced as a woman in construction? Number one stands out. Number one probably stands out to the men too, let's be honest. This one will leave open a little bit longer because I know it takes time to read the options and think about it. We've got about 45% have voted so far. Let's get a few more votes in. All right, I think we're kind of hanging at 48% participation. So that's okay. Maybe people don't know how to answer. Oh, and I forgot to say, I'm sorry, you can choose 3. So I think if you haven't submitted yet, you can click on 3. Should we close it, Artie? I think it's kind of sitting there. I think people probably
Yes.
have voted if they wanted to. Cool.
I'm just ending the poll.
Thank you. Okay, so let's see our results. Okay, interesting. So highest one is work-life balance, which I think makes sense. I think Deepali had kind of mentioned that already. You know, she knows a lot of people that studied architecture with her, but just left the construction industry because maybe the hours didn't work as, you know, maybe they become a mother. What else is high? Perception of frailty and weakness was right behind that. So interesting, interesting. We have another question after this because I wonder, is it perception of frailty and weakness that you're placing on yourself, or is it other people placing on you? And then what's close after that? Very few female colleagues and poor restroom facilities. Okay, cool. Let's go to our panelists. All right, so Deepali, I'll ask you first. Can you talk about a challenging situation you overcame as a woman in construction?
Yeah, what I can think of is hygiene of the washroom. Yes, many people answered it correctly. You know, in India, when client is running on a very tight budget, it really becomes difficult to spend so much on a site office, and then we end up with quota cabins and those small cubicle toilets. So it is really challenging. But then again, if I can think of, you know, in my previous organization, I have got a lot of support from my colleagues and my managers and my bosses during my pregnancy, of course. So I've worked, you know, past midnight, even in my 35th week and 37th week. I've reached home at 2 a.m. and again reported back to office at 9 a.m. in the morning. But then afterwards, of course, I got an earshot from my boss saying that you don't have to be so much on time at this time of your pregnancy. And then he sent me home half day and asked me to take a rest, you know, for another day or so. But the support that I received then from all my colleagues was really appreciative. I really appreciated it a lot. And what else can I say? Even Turner employees, of course, they have also always supported me on site. All my male colleagues, all my female colleagues also. So that's about it. That is what I can think of right now, the challenging situation. But it really works, you know, when we have supportive colleagues like I have always had to work even in till late pregnancy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's what I can think of.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I'll talk about that in a minute though. The being pregnant on site is a whole nother exciting thing. But Purva, what do you think? Are the challenges that you faced in the USA similar as a woman in construction or different than working in India? Much better, much worse? What do you think?
But there are some challenges that are, I think, universal for women. You know, the PP doesn't fit is the biggest challenge. I'm kidding, but yeah, the perception of frailty or even I think Deepali was talking about. I think the perception of being pregnant or having to do having household responsibilities, that's where I feel like I mean, because I've only worked in India at this point of time, other than the US, it really differs, and it's definitely cultural too. But I've seen a lot of acceptance in the USA with respect to I need to adhere to certain timelines to to maybe rush back home because I have childcare, or because I have a doctor's appointment, or I mean, even to run an errand, right? Like it gets as basic as that. There's a lot more acceptance in doing it with male and female colleagues. I've during COVID, during my couple of years here, I've had many of my colleagues, being pregnant or having those childcare related topics come up, and it's I guess it's not a taboo to discuss that. Whereas when I was in India, I always thought, and it's not really the culture or anything. I mean, it's not something that my organization is telling me, but culturally we're like, oh, I'm hindering my work if I am giving an excuse to to go do something else that's also an important work-life event or life event. So I definitely think the challenges are less with respect to maintaining a work-life balance in the US as compared to in India. And then the other thing that I kind of noticed was we have a lot of women-centric, even national organizations within the United States. That really drops drastically when you go to international. And I've been talking to, I've been part of these organizations like CREW and NAVIC, and I've always been asking them, well, why aren't you guys international? Why aren't you doing that? And I know they're trying to do that more and more. I know there's CREW now in India, and there are a few different organizations that are actually expanding. So definitely internationally, I see that as an opportunity for us to step in and create these groups, not just within Turner, but just industry-wide as well.
That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. I'm curious, do you think this idea where colleagues or bosses or whomever are more accepting to work-life balance, like if you have to leave for a doctor appointment or you have a hard stop to go home for a family matter, do you think it changed because of the pandemic? Do you think people are more respectful of your personal time because of the pandemic, or you think it was just a natural evolution? I'm just curious.
Well, I always felt, I mean, I was here a year before the pandemic. I always thought, and I don't think it's something that your bosses or colleagues do. I think it's just your personal conditioning. I was more comfortable to do this in the US than in India. And it's not because my colleague or my bosses or whoever were like asking me not to do something. It's just that perception of, it feels like it's more acceptable here versus, doing something in India. It's more self-brought on than I don't know, imposed.
Yeah, I hear you.
What Purva said, I have seen early on in my career, some colleagues who were pregnant and they were like hands-on key. If I don't do this work, my job will go, or I'll have to sit down on the bench, or they will put me on some other errand work that I don't want to do. But I have seen the perception shift in the past couple of years. With me, I was really lucky. And I hope that this shift that has gone since, it's even before the pandemic, like Jenessa, you mentioned, it's not because of the pandemic, but the shift has come up since the past couple of years. That is what I have seen in my working experience. And I'm glad even the, the topmost managerial level has also been very acceptable to all these things for women, and they help us to achieve the work-life balance. So I hope that it continues in India as well, so that women get more women come out and work in our industry.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, I'm totally in agreement with you. Being pregnant on site was it was so weird. I was really lucky because my active job site, we were already in basically interior fit out. So it was actually very safe. I didn't need to climb up on a ladder or into a confined space, like nothing like that. So that was lucky. But actually, Aili and I were on the same project. So Aili, if you remembered, like the only working women's toilet was like a 10-minute walk away though. And I was pregnant and I had to walk 10 minutes every time I needed to go to the bathroom. So sometimes the challenges are just, really small. But yeah, okay, I digress. On to the next one. Cool, okay, another Zoom poll. This is an interesting one. Do you feel, I guess this is, again, women, kind of intended for the women to answer. Do you feel like you must act like a man to work in the construction industry? So what we mean by that, like, do you feel like you have to put aside your chic outfits and your elegant manners, your, oops, I just clicked on it, your feminine qualities while at work in order to fit in or be accepted or respected by your male colleagues? Artie, I somehow accidentally closed my little poll screen. So you close it whenever you're ready. I can't see how many people voted.
Sure, Jenessa, it's about 55% voted right now. So maybe we'll just wait for a couple of seconds and I'll close the poll.
Awesome, thank you.
Are you able to see the results?
Yeah, I can see the results now. Thank you. Okay, so let's see. Going just from top to bottom, 20% of women said yes, they feel like they have to act like a man to be accepted or respected in the industry. 42% said no, and 37% said sometimes. Okay, so we're kind of split across. So on that note, let's go to the panelist question. All right, Merve, I can't wait to hear your answer on this because I know this question was close to your heart. So do you feel like you have to act like a man to work in the industry?
Yes, actually it looks like that. In order to get acceptance in a male-dominant area as construction site, sometimes we feel like this. But this is not happening only in construction industry. As I mentioned before, I have a motorcycle. And for the last 4 years, I have observed that women riders are feeling the same because it's kind of same male-dominant area. And their attitude is manly most of the time. And I think this is a common thing in several areas like this. But it doesn't have to be this way. And if you show the confidence as a woman in the site, everyone gets it from your voice or from your attitude. And this is much more about how you are holding yourself. And so I think we don't have to feel like we have to act like a man to get accepted, and because we all have different voices that needs to get heard.
Awesome, totally agree. Thank you for sharing. Aili, what do you think? Do you feel like you have to act like a man to be accepted in the construction industry?
Okay, so my opinion is not necessarily we must act like a man when we are working in construction industry. From my little experience compared to others here, we can still wear our chic outfits, put on some makeup, and even wear our high heels. But when we are in the office, when we are going to site, of course, we need to leave our high heels behind and put our boots on because safety first, right? So probably just to share with all of you here, as a kid, believe it or not, I love to play pretend fashion show with my two other sisters. We'll put on our mom's makeup, wear her high heels, and do our hair, and that leads me to want to be a stewardess as a childhood ambition, because that's how I love to dress up and put on makeup. But well, little did I know that I end up working in construction industry. But whatever it is, not once I regret this decision, because to me, it's not like you have to be, how do I say, I don't have to act tough or anything. Even Jenessa, you told just now that you went to site while being pregnant. So being pregnant doesn't stop you to successfully deliver the project. I hope to be a super mom like Jenessa too one day. But yes, putting aside the external aspects like wearing beachy outfits and all, I think there are times where you actually have to think like a man, because sometimes women do think with their emotions, and this might affect the decision making. So even though we don't have to act like a man, there are advantages if we think like a man. So in short, even though I am now working in construction industry, I can still be myself, and not once I was not respected or not accepted by my male colleague.
Oh, that's amazing. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, I think I see it very similar to both of you. It's a little bit of both. Kind of like Aili said, there's a time when we do have to put aside the chic outfits, right? Like I save my dresses for the weekends, you know, but it's the same if I was going camping or hiking, I'm not going to wear my ball gown. So, you know, you wear the right attire for what you're doing. I do think in my earlier years, how I mentioned, like one of my first projects, not with Turner, was all men. Like I never encountered a woman on a normal, typical day. I do feel then, early in my career, I kind of thought I had to, you know, to kind of act tough like the guys to fit in. But I think the farther I go along in my career, I just can be myself. But yeah, I don't get to wear the pretty dresses Monday to Friday. Save them for the weekend. All right, cool. Let's go to the next one, number 5. All right, this is a Zoom question. So this is where we're gonna ask the men and the women. So first we're gonna open a Zoom question for the ladies only, and then we're gonna open one for the guys. So first question to the ladies, do you believe men behave extra sensitive to you on site because you are a woman? So again, no right or wrong answers. This is your perception. Got about 50% voted now. Get a few more votes in. So ladies, do you believe men behave extra sensitive to you on site because you are a woman? Yes or no? All right. Got 55% voted. Should we close it, Artie? Then open a minute and a half. Cool. Okay, here's our results. So 57% of women say yes, they believe that men actually react like extra sensitive to them, and 43% said no. So you feel they treat you the same. So interesting, kind of split, but a little more toward that they act sensitive. So if we've got any men on the line, we're going to open one more poll. And basically same question to the men, because we want to see if it's just a perception issue. So men, do you feel that you behave extra sensitive toward your female colleagues? because they are a woman? Yes or no? Let's see if any men are brave enough to vote. No wrong answers here. Just getting the feeling, the opinions of the audience. About 36% have voted and 55% women. So that's good. That's about 90% total. All right, we're almost at 40%. Great, that means we have a lot of guys online too. Thanks, guys. Cool, okay, so the split for the men was similar but in reverse. So it's almost split yes and no, but the men think that no, they don't act extra sensitive to the women. So it's kind of as suspected, right? Sometimes women, we put the own pressure kind of on ourselves or the perception on ourselves when it's not actually there. Cool, let's go to the panelists. All right, so we'll go to Purva first. So do you believe that men behave extra sensitive to you on site because you're a woman? And do you enjoy the extra help, or is it annoying, or how do you feel about it?
Well, yes and no. I say yes, because I think anytime there is this perception of, like lifting something heavy, or anything that's physical really, I've always seen, men kind of step in and just be like, oh, it's okay, we got it. And, and like, sure, you want to do it. Why should I stop you? Go ahead. So I enjoy that extra support. But, when it comes to engineering, when it comes to technical discussions, be it my role as a business development engineer or now on the field, the technical issues are always discussed in a challenging way. We're having a healthy discussion, we're talking to each other, and I don't think anyone's really extra sensitive in those kind of discussions, because you're really trying to get to a solution that benefits the project. Another funny thing that I've noticed is we're in a room full of people, and mostly it's less women than men. For example, a pull plan, and someone will crack a joke, and suddenly they just realize that, oh, there are ladies in the room, and I've actually laughed at the joke. So that kind of gets awkward sometimes, but yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah, totally. Sometimes just by saying, oh, sorry for my language, or oh, sorry for the joke, they've actually singled us out more. When it's like, yeah, if you're going to say the F word, just say it. Like, whether I'm a woman or man, just say it. You don't need to call out the fact that there's a woman in the room.
Absolutely. I often tell we have a general superintendent, 30+ years of experience, and anytime he uses an F word and then he says, pardon my French, and I often tell him, your French is same as my French, just go at it. I'm okay with it.
Yeah, totally. Cool. Aili, same question to you. Do you think men behave extra sensitive to you as a woman on a construction site?
Yes, I agree with the poll. I do believe that men behave extra sensitive to women on site, from my experience. Even though normally men treats women equally, but there are some instances that their action portray respects towards women. I remember that I had my very own experience for a few times already. My male colleagues showed that they care about my safety when I'm going for site walk. When they know that I'm going for a site walk, especially to a dark or quiet place, they will offer to accompany me so that I don't have to be there alone, as those places are more vulnerable to danger. And not only that, sometimes during the site walk, they will ensure that you are walking either in front of them or behind them for places where might need assistance. similar like what Purva mentioned just now, I remember this funny situation when the guys are talking among each other and using all these curse words, and suddenly they notice me. So they will instantaneously like, oh, sorry, because they are using such curse words. So I was like, hey, no worries. It's not like I'm a kid. Well, women do curse too. And after all, and after all, we are just human. If we didn't curse in front of them, we might curse behind of them. So not to say that I enjoy the extra help, but sometimes it kind of annoying. Yeah, so that's all.
Yeah, thank you for that story. That's awesome. And Merve, you want to share your experience also? Do you think men behave extra sensitive, and do you like it or not?
It differentiates. Sometimes we need this and sometimes it feels too much. For example, the project that I'm working on, it's too big. And for example, I had a mission and I had to check the bottom levels, which is very isolated. And even a single creature like rats didn't live in there. So it was very unsafe for me to go there alone. And my chief won't let me to go there alone. So he asked another male co-worker of us and to accompany me there, like Aili said before. And that wasn't my co-worker's area actually, and he helped me. And so this kind of behavior is welcomed, and it's what we all appreciate, I think, because it's not just not safe for just only for women. It's at the same time it isn't safe for men also. And so that behavior makes me feel much more safer. And by the way, girls can use the F word as all the guys do. So get used to it, I can say.
Yeah, that's awesome. So did everyone hear that? Especially our male friends on the line. We like it when you actually look out for our safety. Like if we're going to a dark place where it's literally unsafe for us to go alone as a woman, but don't single us out if you're swearing. We're fine with it. Awesome. Okay, let's go to the next one. All right, so we have 3 questions to go, 6, 7, and 8. So here we are, number 6. So this one is a, is a Mentimeter. So you actually have to go to mentimeter.com. And I think Elida or Nadia are going to help us put this in the chat. Let's see if someone's put it in the chat. So you go to mentimeter.com. If you're on this forum right now on your computer, suggest to just do the Mentimeter on your phone, maybe, might be easier. And what we're going to do, what we're asking you is, which strength of yours do you believe made you the most successful as a woman in construction? This is totally open answer. You can write anything in. Some ideas though are maybe multitasking. These are just ideas. You decide for yourself. Maybe multitasking, thinking outside the box. Are you detail oriented? Are you extra organized? Maybe proactive? Maybe caring or empathetic? Or maybe your connectivity or networking. And you can submit multiple times. So if you have a few different keywords that you want to submit, feel free to write them in. All right, I'll give some silence to let people think about the question. All great answers. I love that organized keeps popping to the front. Ooh, empathy is making a stride to pass organized. Open to feedback. Someone wrote that. I like that. Confidence is too small. Don't you ladies feel confident? Teamwork, definitely. RT, I leave it to you when you're ready to close it. I don't know who's answered so far. Open-minded. I like that that one popped up too. Awesome. Okay, that was cool. So yeah, some of the top ones were organized, empathy, yeah, teamwork we saw on there. So great stuff. All right, so we have 3 related questions, all on the same topic, and we'll just go in order. So Deepali, I'll ask you first. What advice would you give other women in hard hats, especially those new to the industry?
Well, I would mention what has worked for me always. What has worked for me is being confident with everyone and being myself. So be yourself, be true to your character, be true to your beliefs. Being confident, why? I'll tell you an example. Very early on in my career, we had a meeting and there was a very important discussion that was going on, and I had come up with a solution, but I kept it in my mind. I was like, I'll tell someone later. And at the end of the day, everybody came up with the same solution. So since that day, when I told my boss about it, and he was like, you need to speak up about it at the correct time. So since then on, confidence matters to me, and speaking up at the right time is what will take you places. So that is one advice that I would like to give all the women.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Deepali. I totally agree. Okay, second related question here. How can we motivate and encourage women to stay in the construction industry? Merve, what do you think?
Yes. We had an intern this summer, and she's studying construction engineering, and after her graduation, she wants to work in the construction site. And in our daily site visits, most of my main colleagues from subcontractors or even from the client, they were all saying that construction sites are not for girls. Do you think that offices can be better for you? They were all saying this to that new intern girl. And actually, yes, it's a hard place to work, but for everyone in it, not just for women or men. And working on a construction site, in my eyes, it brings the very same challenges for a man like a woman. And so I think we who works at sites or offices, we can change this mindset. And we can build our sentences, our daily sentences, irrespective of gender. Maybe we can start them with the word we, not with man or woman. So if we keep talking about men can do this, women can do that, it's constantly continue like that. So I think we should stop saying man or woman. We can start saying we.
I love that. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we. Awesome. So related third question here to Ms. Purva. In your opinion, what is the most important quality to be successful as a woman in a hard hat?
Yeah, I absolutely echo Deepali's sentiments about confidence. I realized, I think this is probably like early on in my career that how important confidence was. I had been doing, when I moved to NorCal, I'd been doing BD for Turner in New York and then in India. And in New York, in San Francisco as well. And every time I had to address a topic, I wanted to be sure that I was like, I knew 120% about it. I didn't want to miss a single question. I just, every time I shared my opinion, I wanted to have the whole, the whole 360 degree. And I noticed my male colleagues who were actually really, we've had really open conversations about these. And, even if they knew 50%, they would still talk like they knew 100%. And, it's that level of confidence. It's that level of, not just sharing information, but really being confident in sharing your opinion. And if you don't know something, you don't know something. So even accepting that with confidence, I think, a lot of women don't tend to do that. We just really want to do all our research before we give our opinion. Mm-hmm. So that, according to me, is a really important quality. And then the other thing that I feel is, a lot of times you're told advocate for yourself. We all do that somewhere, but I've also realized that it's not enough to just self-advocate. In your journey in any field, especially in construction too, finding those mentors, those advocates for you who will show you the right path, who will help you in your career, when you feel lost, or when in Turner, I feel like we're all so competitive. We, are constantly comparing each other's journeys. And so, what gives you the confidence of, if someone else is progressing at a certain speed, like, why aren't you? So finding those right advocates and mentors who'll pave a path for you, or who'll at least define a direction for you. And this not just in the confinements of finding, talking to your ICAP partner or to your manager. I think I have at least 5 different people who are not my managers, could also be my colleagues, that are, that are my supporters, that help me, stay in construction and be positive and, really show me the right direction. So finding that right set of people for you.
Yeah. The first story you were telling made me think of something. It was early in my career, and we were actually at a women's event, and basically it was another female, a very senior female. She works in the New York office. And I remember she said to me, 90% is good enough. And so this might sound strange, like giving up or something, and so I had to think about it for a long time. But basically what it's saying is, don't strive for perfection, because that can actually hold you back. Strive to be efficient and effective and not perfect. So when you kind of mentioned how sometimes you felt like when you wanted to share, you felt like you had to know 100%, where maybe you saw male colleagues who just, knew just enough and shared anyway. And so it really makes me think about that, because I think a lot of us join the construction industry from like a math and science background where things are black and white, right or wrong. So most answers are definite, and being right or like perfect is really important. I remember in the early days I struggled with this, and I wanted to be right. I wanted to, have all of the information before I would speak. And I think it was holding me back. And so I had to learn this, that 90% is good enough. Yeah, so similar thought to you, but yeah, cool. All right, should we go on to question 7? Okay, so Zoom poll. Do you have a female role model or mentor in the construction industry? So the mentor or role model can be inside or outside of Turner, but do you feel like there's a female who's more senior than you that you can kind of look up to, and to get advice or to kind of see a way forward for your own career? Got 50% have voted. All right. So here's our poll results. So 51% say yes, they feel that they have we have a female role model at Turner. 30% say yes outside of Turner, and 19% no, none. So we're doing pretty good, right? If only 19% don't feel they have a female role model, then 80%, 81% do. So that's good. So on that note, let's go to our question. So, Aili, role models and mentors are key to ensuring that women progress in their respective careers. In other words, some might say representation matters. So in your opinion, where does the construction industry stand in this respect? Are there enough female mentors and role models to inspire and support women in their construction careers?
Okay, so as an introduction, we can see that most of the working industries are dominated by men. Even cooking and fashion industry that were seem to be a female industry happen to be dominated by men. Like, for example, Jamie Oliver, which is widely known in the cooking industry. So in my opinion, construction industry is lacking female mentors or role models. Therefore, we definitely require more female representation for top leaders. Actually, any industry can benefit from having both male and female leaders, as both genders tend to have different perspective on handling issues, whereby having both genders would generate more fruitful and objective of the thoughts or ideas. For example, let's take Jacinda Ardern, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who has managed the COVID-19 pandemic efficiently, because I think that New Zealand is one of the countries that has least amount of total cases and death due to this pandemic. And yes, as we all know, the position of Prime Minister has been widely known to be held by a man. However, Jacinda Ardern had proven that women can. So this has proven that women can also be leaders and be at par with men. So we need to encourage more women to be part of construction leaders so that we can have more female role models. I truly believe that there is no difference between females and males in terms of skills and added values that they can bring to any project. So it's just a matter of encouraging women to start this kind of career.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you, Aili. So same question to Deepali. What do you think? Where does the construction industry stand? Do we have enough female role models and mentors?
Totally agree with what Ali said. In any industry, there shouldn't be any differentiation between male and female role models because both have a different perspective, exactly like Ali mentioned. To be precise, there are not many women role models in the construction industry, but I have been lucky enough to have a female role model quite early on in my career. She was my first female boss. She always stood by me, supported my decisions, and really gave me, like Purva mentioned, she was my advocate at that job and she mentored me well. And I have been lucky enough to get such mentors throughout my job. She was the one and only female boss that I've ever had. I hope I aspire to be one, to mentor someone, to make a difference in someone's life. Someday, hopefully I can be sooner or later. But yes, I totally agree with Ali on this. There's nothing like male and female differentiation in any industry.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for sharing. Yeah, exactly. Like technical skills are the same. I think we all know that and we've all accepted it now. I think the difference, at least for me personally, is it is important to see women kind of in the role where you want to go, to kind of normalize that, to see a path to success, to see yourself in that role. It's kind of back to this idea that representation matters. And for me personally, my first job with Turner in New Jersey, I had a female boss, and it was the first time I had a female boss, and actually the only time I have in my career. And I would say it really did matter for me. Like before that, I couldn't picture my career getting married and having a family. I always thought, oh, if I want to climb the corporate ladder, I'm just going to be single and be a career woman. And once I had that female boss, she had 3 kids and she was still rocking at her job. And I was like, oh, I can do this. So it's just the simple thing of seeing someone doing that. Yeah, that representation matters. And then I wanted to share one more quote, because before this, I was doing some research because we always hear, right, that having women on the board of directors improves the bottom line of companies. You know, we hear this kind of in the industry, and I was trying to find some articles that actually talked about it. And I found a couple really good ones. One was by Harvard and one was by BBC. The BBC article was called, "Do Women on Boards Increase Company Profits?" And there was one quote from it that I think is really important. And I think it's what Turner is trying to do right now, which is so important. And the article said, "It is not just females at the top making companies profitable. These same companies with more female leadership also tend to focus on innovation, diversity across the board, and they tend to be located in countries where women have more equal rights in general." So I just thought that that was really important. It isn't necessarily that women are doing anything, you know, special. I mean, we are special, but it's not that we're doing anything different or special. It's just that you're getting a new perspective. And those companies tend to also focus on innovation. So I thought that was just a cool line I wanted to share. All right, we go to number 8. So this is our last one. Mentimeter again. So I think the link is in the chat. If you can, jump on Mentimeter. And what we're asking is, how can Turner support you as a woman in construction? How can Turner support you as a woman in construction to continue furthering your career? So same as before, this is open answer. You can type anything in, you can do multiple submissions. So whatever comes to mind. There's some ideas here on the screen. More girl power. More flexible work hours. I feel that more than ever now that I'm a parent. Before I had kids, I remember a project I worked 100 hours in 1 week. I can't do that anymore. So again, you can do multiple submissions, anyone. You can type in multiple entries and hit submit. Advocacy, that's a good one. Advocacy. Equal pay. Ooh, interesting. That one's popping to the top. More female role models, more flexible work hours. Female specific PPE. I leave it to you, Artie, when you're ready to, was it bodyguards? Someone type bodyguards. Oh no, I hope everyone's okay and safe on site. Purva has a bodyguard. We heard that story. Okay. So actually, because equal pay popped to the top, Artie, can we show that article really quick, the JLL article, if you have it? So I just wanted to show this. If you scroll down, Artie, too, there's a graph that has the circles, a bunch of gray circles and one red circle. So this is the article that we referenced earlier tonight or this morning, wherever you are. Again, this is US data only. We don't have international data, but I thought this was really interesting because there is this perception, or maybe truth, right, in many industries that women only make something like 75% on the dollar for the same job done by a man. And this research by JLL I thought was really interesting because it actually shows, oh, sorry, we can't see the legend, but the red circle is the construction industry. Can we see it at the bottom, maybe? Oh no, maybe it's up at the top. Anyway, the red circle represents the construction industry. And so at least in the US, based on JLL's research, the pay gap between men and women is the smallest in the construction industry. Women and men are actually compensated the most fairly in the construction industry versus all other industries are represented in gray, and they fall somewhere around 75 to 80%. Again, we can't solve all the issues today. I don't know if there's micro situations going on, but I would hope, that Turner HR takes a look at it. But hopefully that will quell some of your fears if you feel like maybe your male counterparts are making more. In general, the construction industry is the most equally compensated. Cool, maybe we go back to the slides. Awesome. So we got some ideas of how Turner can support all of our female staff. Some of those were more female leadership, more flexible work hours, things like that. So on that note, Deepali, what has worked for you personally as a woman in construction that has helped you achieve your level of success?
I think I've already answered this question. Apart from being confident and being yourself, if I have to answer this, I would say what worked for me is setting boundaries, and communication has really worked for me. Mm-hmm. Like if the workload is much, I need to get on board with my team members, prioritize the work and set the boundaries to get the work done. Other than that, because if you're working very late every night, nobody's going to come and tell you to go take a break or go home. We have to draw this line. So this has really worked for me. If we set our own boundaries, people will respect us more for it, and they will better value our time. So that's it, I think.
Yeah,
that's the main
absolutely.
thing that has always worked for me.
Okay, absolutely. Yeah, thank you. So Purva, what do you think? What has worked for you personally in the construction industry that's helped you achieve your level of success?
Well, I think the thing that comes to my mind is really being open to different opinions and taking feedback, taking constructive criticism. At the end of the day, realizing that this is professional and not personal. So, not taking something too hard, too seriously, and really working towards something professionally. So just having that outlook has helped me.
Absolutely. Awesome. Yeah, on this question, I just wanted to share one more thing. I think this topic has come up a lot over this forum, but for me, it's been confidence. And the confidence actually has come from a lot of other people at Turner. It's been a journey. Like the early days I mentioned, when I was part of the women's group in New Jersey, there was basically a women's event, like a women leadership event. And actually all the regional offices were invited. I think New Jersey was there, New York, Connecticut, Philadelphia. And anyway, the woman who was speaking, I'm sorry if I don't remember who it was, but I always remember what she said. And she said, don't be afraid to take a new role that you've never done before. And she was generalizing, but I think there's some truth to what she said. What she said is that men tend to take any opportunity and jump into that role, even if they don't know what it is. And they just kind of trust themselves, like, I'll figure it out along the way. If someone gave me this opportunity or this promotion, I'm supposed to be here. Whereas, again, this is a big generalization, but women often feel like we must already know 100% of what we're about to do. And maybe it's because we're governed more by fear or perfection or a stigma. But that's just kind of a generalization. And so sometimes it holds women back because we're afraid to step into that opportunity or that role because we're like, well, I don't know how to do it yet. And so again, this is very, very broad, but it always stuck with me. So I guess I would just tell everyone on the call, don't be afraid to take on a new role that you've never done before. Raise your hand and always look for opportunities. That's what worked for me. So yeah, so that is all of our questions. So everyone else has been silent, but if you want to, you can unmute yourself and share a story or ask a question now. I know we've already met our 90-minute mark, but anyone's welcome to stay and share. Silence is okay. It means we told you everything you need to know. Awesome. If you're too shy to unmute yourself, you can also just type something in the chat box. Let me see if there's any chats lately. Oh, nice. Yeah, Lisa Moving said earlier, perfection is the enemy of progress. Winston Churchill. That's a good quote. Awesome. Well, we don't have to sit here in silence. I appreciate everyone's participation. And as I mentioned, I am actually transferring out of Turner International, but I hope that all you amazing people can keep this going. Artie, Elida, and Nadia have kind of stepped up as the leaders. And, we have that core group of about 20 ladies. So hopefully we can do another event similar to this in the future, maybe in about 6 months. Maybe it becomes like a biannual thing or something. And I would love to join. Any closing remarks, panelists?
Thank you for giving this opportunity to all of us, Jenessa and the other project managers and country managers.
Yeah, this was really fun.
Thank you so much. It was fun discussing everything with all of you all. Thank you, Jenessa, Elida, Aarti, Ali, Purva, Merve, everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yes. Thank you for this opportunity to Turner and all those who organized this event. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It feels good to be still connected to Turner International.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, thank you for joining all the way from California at 5 a.m. Awesome. Okay, well, on that note, we will end it. Thank you everyone for listening.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.